Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Internal Moot 2025 workshop recording clips. My name is Sat, and I'm the president of Thammasad's International Moot Society, also known as TIMS. Before we get started today, I just want to take a moment to thank 4 of our ex-mooters who will also be joining us today for these workshop recording clips. So we have PP Man 08, 4th year LLB. We have Kim 09, 3rd year LLB. We have Kim Han 09, also 3rd year LLB, and Potato Batch 10, 2nd year LLB. So all of these ex-mooters have participated in many moot competitions before, so they'll be joining us to share some of their advice and mooting experience, as well as going over topics that will come to use for this year's Internal Moot competition. Just to give you a breakdown of these workshop recording clips coming up, our ex-mooters will be giving a demonstration on how to break down a Asia Cup moot problem, how to understand your stance from the moot problem. They will also be giving a demonstration on how to write a memorial and how to do an effective oral pleading. Okay, so for this video, I will be covering these following topics. We will be starting by looking into what Moot Court really is for the beginner mooters. I will also be introducing the 2025 Internal Moot Competition by going over its structure, its significance when it comes to your mooting journey as a law student. We will also be going over the Asia Cup Moot Competition in brief detail because for those who don't already know, the Internal Moot Competition is generally known to be a key stepping stone for those who are interested in applying for the Asia Cup Moot Competition. And generally, the students who get high scores in internal moot get a competitive advantage over the other students when they apply for the Asia Cup competition. And finally, I will also be going over the other main international moot competitions that will be taking place in the upcoming year, which would be a great way for you guys to develop your legal advocacy skills if you don't get selected for Asia Cup. Okay, so what is Moot Court? So Moot Court is a mock trial or a simulated courtroom where participants take on the roles of counsel, arguing either for the applicant or for the respondent. But unlike regular debating, where you can just argue any side, mooting requires a deeper dive into specific legal issues. So imagine a courtroom where law students step into the shoes of attorneys and judges by exploring important legal issues in cases, and Moot Court is essentially that. It's so much more than just a role play. It helps you work on different skills that all lawyers must someday develop, which are legal advocacy skills, how to analyze lengthy and big cases, and how to leverage persuasive communication. Even though these competitions are simulation courts, essentially, mooting can get really intense because it's designed to replicate real-life courtroom scenarios as closely as possible. So as much as mooting can be intimidating, it is arguably the best and most beneficial experience that you will ever partake in law school. Mooting will prepare you for your legal careers better than any class because mooting is hands-on and it always teaches you new skills every time you compete in a competition. So what do you actually do in a moot court competition? Firstly, you usually have 2 teams in every round representing opposing sides, which are called the applicant and the respondent. Each team prepares written submissions, which are called memorials in advance, usually for around a couple months, depending on which competition you're joining. So this is the stage where you will be able to do extensive research, such as on the different laws that you can apply in your case, and breaking down the moot problem itself. Then during the oral rounds, the teams will be presenting their arguments in front of a panel of judges. These judges are often actual lawyers or professors, and they will try to grill you with tough questions to test your knowledge on the law. Most moot competitions then start with a preliminary round or multiple preliminary rounds, depending on which competition you're joining. From there, 2 of the best teams will move on to the elimination rounds, which are the quarterfinal rounds, the semifinal rounds, and eventually the grand final round. To be considered a winning team, the grading criteria looks at not only whether you have solid arguments, but also whether you stand out with your advocacy skills and your teamwork. Now let's talk about the Internal Moot Competition. First of all, this competition is very much tailored towards beginner mooters. And to allow mooters to gain the most from this competition, we have decided to make this year's competition be team-based. This competition is also a great way to prove your skills for when you apply for upcoming international competitions. So many of our ex-mooters who have done Moot Court in the past have come out to realize that not all skills and lessons are learned in classrooms. You actually learn more when you are actually forced to exercise your skills that you do learn in classrooms more hands-on rather than simply just reading lecture notes. Okay, now let's talk about the Asia Cup Moot Competition and what it really is. So the Asia Cup Moot Competition was founded in 1999 and takes place in Tokyo, Japan every year. And most of the team's funding for the Asia Cup competition is actually covered by our faculty or by sponsors. So one of the biggest roles TIMS plays for these moot teams in general is sourcing funding from different law firms in Thailand for those moot teams. As for who is qualified to join the Asia Cup Moot Competition, registrations will open around the middle of the year every year. This year's Internal Moot will be considered as one of the two tracks in selecting the 2025-2026 Asia Cup team members, as track 1 will be Asia Cup selection itself. But even if you do win the Internal Moot Competition or are awarded a prize, you will not be automatically selected for the Asia Cup competition, but it will be an advantage over other students who do not have this credential when they register. So one of the benefits of doing Internal Moot is that whenever you do apply for a future moot competition, you can always submit your score sheets from the Internal Moot Competition as evidence of your good performance. Moving on to the purpose of the Asia Cup Moot Competition. This competition focuses on public international law, and it is designed to focus on the understanding of international law from Asian countries. So this is also a great moot competition for first or second time mooters. Now let's go over some other international moot competitions that you can also register for in the next academic year. The usual moots that TIMS almost always participates in is the Asia Cup competition, as we mentioned, but also the IHL Moot, the Jessup Moot, the VIS Moot, and the Tax Moot. And recently, we just reintroduced the IMAC x TIMS Cross Moot Court competition, if you guys have already seen, which was a regional moot competition designed by TIMS and Chulalongkorn's Mooting Association. For the students who are still new to mooting and are interested in political warfare, war crimes, criminal law, and human rights, the IHL Moot competition would be perfect for you because unlike general international law moot competitions or arbitration moot competitions, the IHL Moot is specifically focused on international humanitarian law, so it addresses issues like the protection of civilians and also blends the law, ethics, and political issues. If you are looking for a very prestigious moot competition where almost any experienced lawyer would know the name of, the Jessup Moot competition would be great for you because it focuses on public international law and it looks at issues of human rights, environmental law, and international dispute resolution. This competition also replicates the International Court of Justice, also known as the ICJ, so you get to represent a state in an international forum. Before we move on, I just want to briefly mention that if you are interested in applying for this competition someday, you should definitely consider joining our upcoming TIMS event, which will be held this year on January 28th at the Taprachan campus. We will be holding a diverse pathways to careers in international law seminar where guest speakers include some of our professors, and they will be coming to talk about their experience pleading in front of the International Court of Justice, also known as the ICJ, and how to get a career started in this field of law. Moving on to the VIS Moot competition. If you are interested in international commercial arbitration, contract law, and dispute resolution in a business context, then the VIS Moot would be really good for you. This is also a very big and reputable moot competition, which will be held in Austria. And if you're interested in domestic and international taxation, transfer pricing, and are also good at math, then the tax moot competition would be good for you. Okay, so that is it for this introductory video. I hope I have encouraged you to join the internal moot competition this year and also other international moot competitions in the future.